Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Namo Mahabharaya Krishna Prema Padayati Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namni Gurasazaya Namaha Anandayamaya Vigrahaya Himaya Gurasa Vishnudaraya Tasmaya Mahaprema Rasa Pranaya Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So everybody has handout? Okay. So it's week 31, BhaktiVriksha Sri Namamrita, the nectar of the holy name. Nectar of the holy name. It's interesting that the title alone is a lecture in itself. The nectar of the holy name. So chanting the holy name, gradually we begin to taste the nectar of the holy name itself. So Sri Krishna has put all his transcendental energies in his holy name. So over a period of time of getting purified, taking the process seriously, we begin to feel immense joy when we call Krishna's name, just like the pure devotees do. We feel immense joy just mentioning Krishna's name. So page 145 here says, chanting of the holy name, the names of God, delivers one from the effects of sins and of lower caste birth. Shuddha Goswami, so he was the one that was speaking to the sages at Naimisaranya. Shuddha Goswami was repeating what he heard from the conversation between Maharaj Parikshit and Shukadeva Goswami. Shukadeva Goswami was speaking the Srimad Bhagavatam. And so Shuddha Goswami was there at the time that this was being spoken. And so then when he met with the other sages at Naimisaranya, he was relating to them what he had heard. So this is part of, anytime Shuddha Goswami's name is mentioned in connection with the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the most intelligent book on earth. Everywhere, actually. So, Shuddha Goswami to the sages at Naimisaranya. Sri Shuddha Goswami said, O God, although we are born in a mixed caste, we are still promoted in birthright simply by serving and following the great souls who are advanced in knowledge. Even by conversing with such great souls, one can, without delay, cleanse oneself of all disqualifications resulting from lower births, and what to speak of those who are under the direction of the great devotees chanting the holy name of the Unlimited, who has unlimited potency. The personality of Godhead, unlimited in potency and transcendental by attributes, is called the Ananta, unlimited. So this is Sri Shuddha Goswami saying that by the mercy of Sri Krishna as Lord Krishna Chaitanya, caste doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't really matter in terms of gaining access to the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When Lord Chaitanya came a little over 500 years ago, he spread the holy name everywhere. in India at the time, everywhere in India. He spread the holy name not only to devotees, but to those who were not devotees, who got attracted to him, even physically, or attracted to the holy name, or how enthusiastic he was in chanting the holy name. Whatever it was that drew attraction to him, in fact, he was distributing Krishna Prema profusely. So it didn't matter who came. When there's an event and people are interested in the event and people hear about it, they start coming. They won't say, well, I'm of a high caste, therefore I go, and you're of a low caste, you don't go. It doesn't matter. Everybody just rushes to wherever it is. And the Lord is not distributing and saying, well, you low caste stand here, high caste, you do this. And there's nothing like that. He's just chanting the name, and everybody that's excited joins in. So then, at this age, as far as caste goes, it's unimportant. It's unimportant. I have to admit, I don't understand the caste system in India that well. But by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, it doesn't matter either. So, if I never get to understand it, I can still chant Hare Krishna. It wouldn't make any difference. That is the mercy and that is the fortune that those living in Kali Yuga have. So to continue, the Lord is unlimited. The Dvijabandhu, or the less intelligent, uncultured men, they put forward many arguments against the lower caste men becoming Brahmins in this life. In other words, they are attached to their caste system. If they're higher caste, then you're not. That's just human nature, though. One of the ways in which Maya gets all of us entangled and confused. We give ourselves labels. With this, with this, with this. And in my own life, I know that very well. Because at the job, I'm called professor. So many times I try not to use the word professor. There's somebody goes, oh, he's a professor, then they start looking at you differently. Like you're some god or something. It's a job. That's all it is. If you ask me, I'll tell you I'm a teacher. Immediately I'll tell you I'm a teacher. Because a teacher you don't think too highly of. Professor is another thing. Well, teacher at the university. So, we're a teacher. That's all it is. Higher material knowledge. Higher temporary knowledge. The real teaching is what's in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it's what in the Bhagavad Gita. That's real intelligence. And so we tend to put ourselves in different castes. And this is what is being described here. Lower caste men get looked at down by higher caste people. You can't become a Brahman. Anyway, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj, he made a huge case against Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. It so happened that his father, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, was invited to what would be a debate, basically. Who is better, Brahmins or Vaishnavas? But he was very sick at the time, so he couldn't go. And the Vaishnavas were very, very disappointed that Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who was a big, big leader and pure devotee, could not make it to that particular gathering. But then his son, Bhima Prasad, who wound up becoming Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master, he said at the time that he would go. At first, his father was surprised to hear that he said he would go. He said, you? He said, yeah, I would go. So, Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, sure, you have my blessings, go. So then when the meeting started and many Brahmanas came up and talked in favor of being a Brahman, then it got to, presumably, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's turn, but he wasn't there, therefore his son stood in for him. And he started by praising the Brahmanas, that so many things have happened on this earth because of the Brahmanas. Basically talking about their potencies. And then when he finished, he said, but higher than that, the Vaishnavas. Higher than the Brahmanas, the Vaishnavas, because they've dedicated their life fully to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And if you have the Supreme Personality of Godhead, you have everything. And so, and this is paraphrased a little bit, but this was basically what he meant. And the Vaishnavas were very, 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 very happy to hear that. And the Brahmins, a good many of them, were also convinced after he finished speaking that in fact to be the best in the world right now is to be a devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's the best thing that anyone can do for themselves. The best thing. So the higher caste people, we continue here, they argue that birth is due to previous sinful acts and that one therefore has to complete the terms of disadvantages due to lower birth. In other words, they're saying that if you're born lower birth, you had bad karma, things that you did in previous life will put you in this situation. In one sense, it is correct, but then in this age, the mercy of the Lord pervades, it's for everybody. So then caste doesn't really matter. You are Brahman, you have to chant Hare Krishna. You have higher caste, you chant Hare Krishna. You have lower caste, you chant Hare Krishna. And Krishna looks at everybody, he's equal to everyone. So the caste system does not matter to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, to continue, the answer to these false logicians, Srimad Bhagavatam asserts that one who chants the holy name of the Lord under the direction of a pure devotee can at once get free from the disadvantages due to lower or caste birth. Offenseless chanting indicates that one has fully understood the transcendental nature of the holy name and has thus surrendered unto the Lord. Offenseless chanting. It shows that one has fully understood that the holy name is transcendental and that person has surrendered to the Lord. Then they chant offenselessly. So we are told that we should chant offenselessly, but the mind tends to roam around when we chant, when we try to chant. So Srila Prabhupada said, in everything that we do, it is the sincerity that Krishna looks for. It is the effort that we put in to do whatever we do, spiritually, that Krishna looks for. He already knows that we're not perfect. He already knows that there's a high chance that the majority of us will not become perfect. He already knows that. That's why there's mercy. As Madhu Maharaj likes to put it, his department of mercy is much bigger than his department of law. In other words, he's far more merciful than his situation where he applies what is and what is not, can do and cannot do. So, when we are sincere, then Krishna gives us the means to move forward. I remember one sannyasi was a guru, his Srila Prabhupada disciple. His name is His Holiness Hridayananda Maharaj. Srimad Bhagavatam, the higher cantos, 11th and 12th cantos, Srila Prabhupada left his body at the time, so he was the one that did the translation and purport. This one's a very high qualified scholar who was a sannyasi. And he put it simply, you cannot purify yourself. It's Krishna that purifies you. That is the process. When am I going to get pure? That's not a question. When is Krishna going to purify me? That's the question. When Krishna purifies us, then we will be pure. But it's He that does it. So, when we are told what to do, and Krishna doesn't tell us what to do, He speaks through Guru. He has appointed a representative of His, and the representative of His is Guru. And He says in Bhagavad Gita, you have to approach Guru. You have to inquire submissively from Him. You have to hear Guru, and you also have to serve Guru. And so at this age, this is the process that He set forward. And not only did He set it forward, He showed the example also. When He came, and Lord Nityananda came, Balaram came with them, they both got spiritual masters. As a matter of fact, it was their mother and father, Krishna's mother and father, Vasudeva and Devaki, that sent them to go to Sandipani Muni to get trained up. God was going to get trained up. But anyway, they sent them to go get trained up. And they went. And so they got instruction, and they also served their Guru faithfully. Whatever, go out in the woods, fetch some wood for a fire, whatever it is they did. They did. Sandipani Muni knew that that was Krishna. Lord Chaitanya came, he got a spiritual master, Ishwara Puri. Again, he served the spiritual master faithfully. And so the process does involve, if you're serious, does involve getting a spiritual master at some point. And the reason we're saying at some point is that it's by the mercy of Krishna that one gets Guru. You can't get a Guru yourself. So it comes down to what you're doing now and how faithfully and how sincerely we do it. Chanting the holy name of the Lord has to be done with great sincerity. And offenseless chanting starts with paying attention when you're chanting the name. That's not difficult to do. Since first grade, the teachers always pay attention, pay attention. We've been through this in school. So we've heard it over and over and over and over again. But now it's necessary for success in our own lives to pay attention when we chant the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And if you don't mind, I'll just spend a little more time about chanting the holy names. Sometimes, as Srila Prabhupada said, we have to chant a minimum of 16 rounds daily. And you might hear some lectures, some devotees mentioning chanting 16 rounds, hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours. We're supposed to chant the holy name with attention and pronounce the names well. Okay? Some people can speak faster than others, so they can chant faster than others. If you hear Srila Prabhupada chanting, you can finish 16 rounds in probably 45 minutes. That's how fast he chants. But then he's already in bliss when he's chanting. He's very much connected to the Supreme Personality of God, His name. Now the point we're making about all of this, about the time, is there really is no set time. There's a set minimum number of rounds to do. And so if anyone here is a little bothered about how long it takes to chant 16 rounds, then I will humbly suggest try to follow Srila Prabhupada when it's chant. Definitely chant with a CD, with Srila Prabhupada, or whatever, with the sound of the chanting. That alone is purifying. That alone. We are impure, but when we hear the holy name from the pure devotee, that is already purifying to the atmosphere where we're in. And it helps us take the chanting seriously also. Now, as a last-ditch effort, if 16 rounds is so difficult for you, try to go a little bit closer to the pace at which Srila Prabhupada goes in chanting. It's very difficult to catch up with him, do exactly what he's chanting, and get all the words out. Very, very difficult. But you can speed it up. In his time, they were not doing 16 rounds, they were doing 64 rounds. And I bet you they weren't taking 2 hours for 16 rounds. Most of them could chant the 16 rounds in far less time than that. Because they just get into the mood and they get on a roll, and then they have, and if you go a little faster, your attention is also better actually, especially if you pronounce the words well. For most people. Some people, they have to go slow before they hear. But for most people, if they keep going, it's like everything that you're doing. If you want to do it and stay on it, then your full attention, maybe let's just take driving. If you want to do 80 miles an hour, would you pay greater attention compared to driving 55 miles an hour? I bet you when you're going faster, you pay more attention because you know if anything happens, that's the end of you, right? And so you pay greater attention. So chanting faster is not bad at all. See, Baba himself does it. But you have to chant more distinctly, paying attention to what you're doing, the words that come out, so that you can hear the holy name. And I'm saying this is not for everybody, but for most people, if they stay on the name Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, you're really putting in effort. And to stay and to hear it like that, you're not going to be roaming around too much mentally. You're not going to be roaming around too much. So, of course, the other thing is, because of the speed, you tend to finish it earlier than later. So, both work, both situations. The question is how to stay on the holy name in terms of hearing it distinctly, especially of the three names, Hare, Krishna, and Rama. Hare and Rama can be said easily in our tongue. Krishna is the one you have to get R, S, the S, and the H, and all of that, and N coming out properly. Krishna especially, of the three names. Because when you hear Srila Prabhupada chanting, it goes to Hare Ram, it's going to be quicker. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare, finished. Just like that. But you can't do that to Krishna though. We have to pronounce Krishna name. So personally, when I tend to, and that's just me, I tend to stress Krishna's name more. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. I do that. I do that deliberately for me to hear Krishna's name more. And I have to also literally confess that I heard it from a Prabhupada disciple who was Mataji from Cleveland. It was a Girinagri. We were having japa in the morning, and I was watching her. And he goes, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, and he mouth head down like this. And I heard and said, actually, this thing seems better. I'm going to try it. So watch the word is like that. And after a while, then they're able to chant better. So chanting, yes, good. So chanting with attention is what's going to help us to get to offenseless chanting. Chanting with attention. The other thing is to have some paraphernalia that remind us of Krishna. You could write the mantra on a piece of paper. In other words, involving more of our senses. When we hear Srila Prabhupada chanting while we chant, we pay attention. What moves around? Well, the mind and the senses. But senses are connected to the mind. So as soon as you see something that's distracting, then the mind goes there. But if you see the holy name, if you see the picture of a deity, or if you're looking at the deity, depending on where you are, then your mind wants to roam, but the eyes go where? To the deity. So then you really don't leave Krishna, the thought of Krishna. So the more things that we have available to involve our senses in while we chant, the less likely that the mind will be strayed somewhere. And if we chant at a faster pace and a distinct pace, we'll also hear it more. Okay. So those are some of the things that I've learned over the years. Okay, so let's go back on this. Transcendentally, the holy name of the Lord and the Lord himself are identical, being absolute. See, this is what our being absolute means. We are not absolute. We have a name, but then we have a name. The Lord's name and the Lord are identical. When you mention Krishna, you have Krishna. You just don't have Krishna's name only, you have Krishna himself. Everything about him is him. And it's kind of hard to understand because if we compare it to ourselves, it doesn't work. We are not absolute, but Krishna is. And so, even if we don't know what that means practically, we have to go by faith that it is that way, because the acharyas say it's that way. And so, the holy name of the Lord and the Lord himself are identical. The holy name of the Lord is as powerful as the Lord. And it will be because that's the Lord himself. The Lord is the all-powerful personality of Godhead. And he has innumerable names, which are all none different from him, and which are equally powerful also. So this is just going on with the explanation of how the holy name is the Lord himself. That's why the power is that there's no distinguishing between the power of the holy name and the Lord himself. The Lord's names, all the different names, are actually all him, and they are equally powerful, as it says here. In the last word of the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord asserts that one who fully surrenders unto him is protected from all sins by the grace of the Lord. Since his name and he himself are identical, the holy name of the Lord can protect the devotee from all effects of sins. So this is alluding to the chapter 18, text 66, 1866, quite popular. A lot of people know it. Savadharma parityajya mamekam sharanam praja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma sucha. So that's the one that's saying here, abandon all varieties of religion and fully surrender to me. I will protect you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. So the Lord is asserting that one who fully surrenders to him is protected from all sins by his grace. And the point is made that since he himself and his name are identical, by calling his name, the same effect is there. So we are protected by calling the Supreme Personality of Godhead's name. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. surrender to Krishna fully. What does that mean? And we may have our own definition. I was listening to a lecture by His Holiness Radha Maharaj. Maybe this could be the lowest slide. The volume. His Holiness Radha Maharaj. And he gave a lecture. Actually, I was listening to this yesterday or 2 days ago. 2 days ago. And the lecture was about this particular text, Sarvadharman Parityaja Mamekam Sharanam Bhaja. And so it's about surrendering fully to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He gave a story involving the pure devotee Ramanujacharya. Then after the story, he talked about the gopis. So we'll have to table the story, but we'll talk about the gopis, because he was making the point about fully surrendering to Krishna. And he mentioned that the gopis are the topmost as far as fully surrendering to Krishna. Because the gopis' mentality is actually not a mentality that we couldn't use. We could also learn from them. The gopis' mentality is whatever it is, if it's for Krishna, we'll do it. Even if I have to sin, if it's for Krishna, I'm going to do it. Even if the Shastra says you do this, you do that, you will go to hell, we will go to hell for Krishna. And these are all pastimes, actual pastimes, including one going to hell was about Lord Krishna being sick and the cowherd voice going to the gopis and asking them. Krishna has said that he needs the dust of your lotus feet to put on his head, and he'll get better because he's sick. Now that is a huge offense. Your lotus feet, dust of lotus feet going on the head of Krishna at the time is considered that you go to hell if you do that. The gopis were willing to do that. They were willing to do that. They showed that no matter what it is, whatever the difficulty is, if the activity that we know that we have to do is for the Supreme Personality of Godhead's enjoyment, or just because he just says he wants it, we do it anyway. So, how does that translate into activities? When the Guru says do, we have to do. Now, my own Guru explained quite a few things to me he asked me to do I've never done in my life before. He told me to do it anyway. So then I'll go learn how to do it. And after a while, he said, when I ask you to do things, it means it has to get done. You see to it that it gets done. It may be you doing it, or you may arrange to get it done. But just get it done. That's all. So it doesn't mean I have to go learn everything new, because he knew some of the things he asked me to do I'd never done in my life before. Maybe some electrical work. Maybe some put, shutters, windows and stuff. How do I know those things? I haven't done them before. I'm not a builder. But just make sure that it gets done. That's all. That is your response. You take it upon yourself when you're told to do things, that it has to get done through me. Either by me or through me. That's all. Okay, yeah, so you can always arrange to get things done. Or if you can do it yourself, do it. The important thing though is when you're told to do something, it becomes the number one priority. If you put it off, Maya will let you put it off for years. As soon as you give Maya an inch, he's going to pull a whole mile or more than that. Because he's going to say, well, you got other things to do, this other thing, yeah, I know, I've been told to do it, but at some point I'll get to it. Every other thing here I'm doing is important. Maya is going to give you more and more and more things and tell you they're all important. Next thing you know, you have no greater guru. So when the spiritual master asks you to do something, it should be at the back of your mind the whole time. I have to do it, 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 and be in anxiety that it's not done yet. I'll tell you one story. It's kind of embarrassing, but I'll say it anyway because it concerns my wife. She was the one that got so good at getting relatively inexpensive airline tickets for my Guru Maharaj to travel. And he travels around, now he's left his body, BhaktiVriksha Maharaj. He left his body in 2005. But at the time he was living, we were with him, literally living right below him, the same building. He was up, we were down, we were down below him. We were serving him. We didn't have any children at that time. And So one time he asked them, here's my wife, I'm traveling, go on the internet and see whether you can get some, bargains, tickets. And she would just go over and over and just go through all kinds of websites to get tickets until he winds up getting a ticket that's pretty decent. They tell her, Maharaj, so this traveling here, this is the lowest price that I've got. Good. Try again. And find something better. And so one time, there's this city called Zagreb. It's in Croatia. And my Guru Maharaj was supposed to, we had a program there, so we were supposed to go there. So he was in Girinagri. Again, I'm here, look for a ticket to go. So she had tried and tried. It was getting late at night that night. She was still on the internet looking for tickets. So she decided, well, we'll do it tomorrow. She's tried and see if she can get something. And so I'm lying next to her at night. And in the middle of the night, I hear this, Zagreb. He was saying Zagreb in her dreams. She was so focused on getting a ticket, it just came in a dream. So, and I'm a light sleeper. So he said Zagreb, I woke up. He said Zagreb, so my wife is actually doing service in a dream. Kind of I fell out. But that's how focused she was. And I got up in the morning, of course, and I just started teasing her the next morning. I said, boy, you take your devotion service to your dreams and everything, because that's what you were doing. You were mentioning Zagreb last. Were you kind of, in your dream looking for a ticket or whatever was going on? Who knows? But that kind of focus is definitely needed. I wish I could be like her. But that kind of focus is very important. Very, 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 very important. So that's what it takes. Now, so some of you are hearing this and say, but I don't have a guru yet. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. As long as you listen to Srila Prabhupada, you have a Param Guru. You obey his instruction. Yes, you do. When Krishna is pleased with you, then, of course, you have to find one now who will give you the Diksha initiation. That's there. But Srila Prabhupada's influence is through his books. And so you get guidance from Guru. Inquire from Guru. That's what Krishna says. Seek, go to spiritual master, inquire from him. What Srila Prabhupada preaches. So the inquiry is there. And he has many disciples, some of whom are senior devotees, some of whom are gurus, you definitely can ask them questions. If we serve sincerely, the word is Yashat Prashadam, Bhagavat Prashadam. It is the mercy of Krishna. It's through the mercy of Krishna that we get Guru. You can't get Guru yourself. You can search, but when you serve sincerely, Krishna will lead you to someone that you'll be interested in getting shelter off. It is Krishna that does it. And then the Guru's instructions opens up a better understanding about Krishna. So then by the mercy of Guru, you get Krishna. But initially, it's the mercy of Krishna that you get Guru. So if you're wondering when you're going to get a Guru, just keep serving sincerely, chanting attentively, because when Krishna is happy, it's the same meaning also Srila Prabhupada said, Yashat Prashad, Bhagavat Prashad means when Guru is pleased, Krishna is pleased. So by the mercy of Krishna, we get Guru. And that time will in fact come. The more sincere we are, the more determined we are to serve. And more, as Srila Prabhupada says, hearing. We should hear. He actually made a distinction between hearing and listening. Not from English grammar, he just said the two of them. Hearing is when you listen to what's been said and apply it, then you heard it, you heard it in its fullness. If you just listen and go back and do the same thing you've been doing and not apply what you've heard, then basically it just goes through one ear and out the other. And he calls that listening, yeah, type listening, yeah, you've heard it this week. And it's like you go to a church. But Krishna consciousness is not a church. Or Kali Yuga church is this way now. People just go here and then go back to the same thing they were doing, they keep doing. Hearing should make our lives be improved by going by what has been told to us, doing it. And we do it, and Srila Prabhupada is happy, and by his mercy, then Krishna will find us a Guru who is his Srila Prabhupada's own disciple, or grand disciple. Even the grand disciples at this point are also initiating. The disciples of the disciples of Srila Prabhupada, they also started initiating. A few of them are. Like that. And I'm actually speaking from my heart. I hope everyone here gets initiated. I know Jay Krishna, his wife, are initiated already, but Krishna consciousness starts then. It starts then. So everybody that doesn't have a guru is at the starting point. When you get a guru, then you really move forward. Because the guru guides you based on who you are. Based on who you are. It's almost like, not almost like, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj said, every spiritual master is like a spiritual doctor. So when you go to a doctor, he doesn't prescribe the same medicine for everybody that comes through the door. They have an aspirin. This one, okay, fine, get aspirin. This one, all right, so you have a stomach, aspirin. My head, aspirin. My liver, aspirin. It wouldn't work like that, would it? Of course not. It will give you different. So we are all different in nature, and we've had some different backgrounds and challenges in life before we got to the point that we got to. So Krishna directs Guru to move us in Krishna consciousness based on who we are, the kind of habits we have, and so on. And so that's when it really starts to move forward. And the Guru also gives us assignments. And then we also live life based on what the Guru's mission is. So it's all really after initiation you get to know all these things. But for now, it doesn't mean that, don't ever think you're unfortunate though, because you don't have a Guru. You're more fortunate than everybody else in the world. Because everybody else who do karmic stuff, they're going to be recycled. They're not going anywhere. You know about Krishna. And it's not that you don't have Guru. It's because Krishna is going to give you Guru. So you're basically, in one sense, waiting on Krishna. But Krishna is also waiting for you to be more sincere. That's all. So you're more serious, then he will lead you. But in his own time, though, Krishna doesn't do anything wrong. In his own time, you will actually get spiritual mastery. You'll be very, very interested in leading the spiritual life through that particular personality. So that will come. That will come. Just let's chant attentively. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. I think, where was I? The chanting of the holy name, yeah. Yeah. So, it ends with the effects, all effects of sin. So we continue. The chanting of the holy name of the Lord can undoubtedly deliver one from the disadvantages of lower caste birth, as we've said. Lord Chaitanya has put it all out for everybody. Caste doesn't matter. The Lord's unlimited power is extended on and on by the unlimited expansion of the devotees and incarnations. And thus, every devotee of the Lord and his incarnations also can be equally surcharged with the potency of the Lord. So what he means here is the Lord's unlimited power is extended. He has full power, but he also, and it's very typical of him, to have his devotees do some of what he himself could do. Typical case in Arjuna, when he decided that many people needed to leave the earth and go to a much better situation in Vaikuntha, he told Arjuna, I could look at them sideways and all 640 million people would be dead. I could do it. But he said, you do it. You actually do some of the work. You're trained Kshatriya. You do some of the work so that the credit also comes to you. The Lord is selfless like that. He's not selfish. So he preaches through his devotees also. This is what's meant by unlimited expansions of the devotees and incarnations. Sometimes it's an incarnation, like Lord Kapila, speaking Sankhya philosophy, material world description, material life description, and spiritual life described so much in detail that anybody with half a brain would choose spiritual over material. That's Lord Kapila, but that was the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Maharaja Shabadi, another, who's a king, and an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He had 100 sons. He advised them. The advice is all in the Srimad Bhagavatam. It's about the seriousness that one has to take in Krishna consciousness, in Bhakti Yoga, in performing devotional service. He did that. So sometimes it is he speaking. Sometimes it's Narada Muni. And Narada Muni is a devotee, a pure devotee of the Lord. Sometimes it's Srila Prabhupada, as we well know. His lectures are all over the place. And some of them who have come, who are pure devotees, who are with him, they know about him. There are some of the sannyasis who are actually in Lord Chaitanya's camp, came directly from the spiritual world. We know some of them, we don't mention, but some of them actually are from the spiritual world. And some are not, but it doesn't make any difference, because it's all, when we say some are not, this means that they have actually advanced from being a conditioned soul And some are also those that came from the spiritual world. Now they are not all sannyasis. Some of them are pujaris. They're all mixed in. They're all mixed in. Some of the people in ISKCON are in fact pure devotees, and some of them. It's just have to. The important thing though is how especially we respect devotees. And I think we've talked about that here before. Don't get angry. Don't gossip. Don't find fault. Anger is one of the, as it says, the 3 gates leading to hell. Lust, anger, and greed. Lust, anger, and greed. Now we start from the last one, greed. Greed is killing us. Greed is even if we don't think we're greedy, that means we haven't looked at ourselves more seriously. But even if we think we're not greedy, greed is all around us. What's happening to the prices of things year by year? It's going up and up and up and up and up. Just think, if the prices stabilize around the world, our paychecks probably can handle everything, can't they? But every time we find ourselves having to earn more money, or if we've got enough money or have some savings, the savings becoming smaller and smaller and smaller because every year we have to spend more money on the boga, more money on gas, on this and this and this. And if someone says, but they've increased the gas prices, therefore I'll also increase my prices here to make up. And then the workers will form a union. Because the prices are going up, so the union will have to give us more money. And the more money means the business has to charge more for its product to give more money to those who are in the union who want more money. And the things, everything goes higher and higher and higher and higher. So we actually are giving ourselves more grief by being greedy. As the saying is, the world has enough for everybody's need, but does not have enough for everybody's greed. You can never satisfy everybody. You can never, Mahatma Gandhi made that statement. You can never satisfy greed. And anger. Anger, when we do things in anger, the mood is a very bad mood. When we say things to others, even if we're right, and usually when we're right, it means we think we're right. Doesn't mean we're necessarily right. We just think we're right. And we say things in anger, it disturbs the person who's hearing. Especially among adults. We should always say things in a respectful way. And if we're too angry, it's better to leave the area than say something bad. If we say something bad, we've committed an offense to that particular devotee. One incident happened in Gidanagri just last Sunday. And I felt sad about it because there's got to be a way that I have to approach this devotee about it. They asked me to give a Sunday lecture, which I'm not on their schedule. But I agreed because there was nobody else, and their backup was also not there. And the person that scheduled said, "Can you come?" About a couple of hours before the time. I said yes. So because I had some things already made notes here, so I grabbed one and then decided to go preach with that. So at the end of the preaching, there were some announcements being made. One of our senior devotees got up during the announcement, got up to leave the temple room, and the person made the announcement called his name loudly on the microphone. He was leaving, and he called in the back like, we all could tell the mood that he was asking the devotee to come back. And I'm saying, what if he wanted to use the restroom? Does he have to tell you? He doesn't have to. So actually it was wrong to have his name called like that. But the devotee acted very smart. He didn't say anything. He left. When he got called, he did not return right away. He did whatever he wanted to do and returned. And I'm thinking, but this is embarrassing, so what to do? So then I chimed in because Mike was also close to me. I said, well, his wife is here, but his wife is here. So whatever it is that he misses, she would tell him. So I tried to find a way to kind of mitigate it, right? Because everybody's realizing this is bad. You don't just blurt out somebody's name like that on the microphone. And he hasn't returned. He didn't come back. So that made it even more kind of hairy situation. So then whatever came to mind, I thought about it and I said, his wife is here, so don't worry about it. You just keep going on with the announcements because she would tell him. And then after a few minutes, he came back quietly and sat down. He didn't say anything. But see, he still has been offended though. He has been. And so I have to find a nice way to tell this particular announcer, that wasn't the right thing to do. We all saw that, okay? So don't worry about it if they leave. The child, maybe you can ask them, but for the adults, just leave them alone. They know why they're going. I tell the same to him, what if you had to use the restroom? She had never tell you. Nobody says those kind of things. Just get up and go. So, see, it's a little thing. On one hand, it's a little thing. We all know each other. This is God family members now we're talking. Same spiritual master. But, still, it doesn't take much. It doesn't take much. The next thing you know, you're actually in a parade. So, you have to be careful. There was one saying in Srila Prabhupada, ISKCON has come up with 365 different instructions from Srila Prabhupada. And they chose the day that he said it. So they made like a calendar. 1st January, he said this 1st January 1969 in Hawaii or whatever. But whatever it says, a short thing that they say on it. Okay. And one of them, this was very close to, because I read every day. So May 4th, I already read. So somewhere in late April, that statement is there. And he was commending, he was actually praising a devotee, Sri Prabhupada, wrote a letter to the devotee. And one of the things he said was, it's very good that you're being careful how you relate to devotees, how you say things. This is very good. Because that means you're being careful against being influenced by Maya. That was the point he was making. So sometimes we might think, well, there's too much, I am this way, and if I'm told I have to be careful about this, it's going to be too much to have to be watching all the time. Well, to be purified means we have to change our ways. And when we go to school, we don't get the knowledge right away. We hear, we study, we take exams. To know something, you have to go through some sort of austerity. And for austerity with devotees, you just have to be careful how you speak to people. And if you don't have the right words to say and you're getting upset, it's better that you leave. Or if you can't meet the person later on to say it in a nicer way, then tell somebody you can confide in and say what has happened that disturbs you. And let that person speak for you. Now, the highest thing to do is to understand something that Lord Chaitanya said. Trainara Pishni Chaina, Taroriba Sahishna, Amarina Manadena, Ketanya Sadahari. Ketanya Sadahari means to chant the name of the Lord constantly. And the other 3 lines before that are the conditions. One has to be humble like grass, tolerant like tree. They should offer our respects to others, but not expect respect from them. Under those conditions, you can chant the holy name of the Lord sincerely and constantly. So then His Holiness Radha Maharaj made one statement in his lecture. He said, well, why are we so surprised that if we say this, we should not expect respect from others, but we should respect others? We say it, then what makes us think that Krishna will not put us in a situation where we have to practice that? Somebody will put us in a situation where it's going to tick us off. Now, are we going to show respect and not expect respect, or are we going to even remember that it's there? This is all to help us to grow. Many highly advanced devotees, if you offend them, they'll smile and say nothing. I've seen Dinabandhu people do it. He's in India, Papa disciple. They'll smile. They will not say anything back. They've heard it and they know it's wrong. They won't say anything about it. It takes practice. He's been doing it for a long time. It takes practice. First thing, if you want to say something, you just kind of hold back, not fire something back. And after a while, you see that it actually, and you chant the holy name constantly also. In your mind, everywhere you are, that also helps to put you in the kind of mood where you can tolerate. In other words, devotee, this is being tolerant, is what we're talking about here. But in effect, I mean, the most important thing is for everybody to understand you don't offend others. But if it ever happens, everybody is in a certain stage of development. So if it happens, don't take it seriously in terms of firing back, because if you fire back and the person hears you, now you two have become at least temporary enemies. And that's not good. Devotees are very important. Please remember this. when it's time for us to leave our bodies to die, everybody goes through that at some point. The devotees are the ones that come around to chant the holy name of the Lord in your ear. Others who are not devotees, even if you're relatives, they will not do that. And Krishna has said that if you're leaving your body, hearing about him, remembering him, you're going to him. And the only ones, you cannot chant at that time. You can't. Your senses are shutting down. You cannot chant. The only thing you can do is hear. That's the last one in this case. You can hear. But you can't even do it even if you want to chant. You can't. So, if you hear the devotees chant, then you will remember the holy name. Because you have a huge chance to go back to Godhead. And it's devotees that do that. So fancy getting mad at them. Then you cut down the number of people that can come chant for you. Is really what's going on when the time comes for you to leave. So basically you get mad, you sabotage your own self. You're cutting off your blessings. Because the devotees are the ones that do things to take you back to Godhead. That's how important they are. So you have to maintain good relationships with everybody. And if they offend you, don't go back at them. And I've already been through once like that. The devotee just fired at me at getting angry. And I remembered the smile, and I apologized because he was making a point. He just was a little ticked off about it. And I smiled. And I said, all right, I didn't even realize that you could go to this other sink and so on. So I admitted I was wrong. 3-4 days ago, the devotees made some very nice pizza, one for those who like dairy and don't like dairy and everything. And I just come through there because I take care of Tulsi. So I went to Tulsi's house and I was leaving. I went to the Prashadam hall. That same devotee saw me, Prabhu. They made some nice pizza here. Do you want pizza? I said, well, usually I take fruit and go. I said, no, you should have pizza. So he served pizza. And you, your wife, and 2 children, right? I said, right. So he served 4 plates. Same devotee that offended me now. 4 plates. And there's so many other things he added to it. And he went and got a box to put them all in the plates and everything. And I'm kind of half embarrassed. I said, Prabhu, you know, I'm a gasta. I have food at home. So normally you guys are temple devotees. I don't eat the prasad. Doesn't matter. He kept served so much. It was nice pizza too, I have to say. My children took it to school the next day. But he did that. Now, had I fired at him the way he offended me, he'd never do it. It wouldn't even think to do that. So some of these things that we say, I'm not expert. I'm just talking about it, but I also practice it. I have to practice it myself. I haven't become it. Sometimes I get upset, but I have to learn to get away from that person. Or if I'm in a much better mood, smile and just hear the person out and then say, okay, so you're saying this, explain why I did this and where I'm wrong. According to, see it from this point of view. Because if you really see it from his point of view, it's going to end. And it's going to end well. If you see it, if you're firing at them and they're firing at you and you butt heads, you wind up becoming enemies. And then the person, unfortunately, if they're not that advanced, might go talk bad about you to someone else. So now another person doesn't like you. Or heard something you don't like. And then you heard it and you talk to somebody else. Now you know, everybody has something bad. They're all quiet about it, but they all know something bad about you. The mood is getting very bad. The mood is getting very bad. So Maya will put us in that situation if we let her. She will put us in that situation. So we have to be always on guard. And that was the letter Sri Prabhupada was praising the devotee. You're always on guard not to be offensive to devotees. That's the first of the 10 offenses. Blaspheming devotees who are propagating the holy name of the Lord. And my Guru Maharaj told me, BhaktiVriksha Maharaj, don't kid yourself. You want to love Krishna? You cannot love Krishna without loving Guru. It's not possible. You cannot love Krishna without loving Guru because Guru is Krishna's representative. And we are conditioned souls. So we go to Krishna through Guru. Now, can you love Guru? No, unless you learn to love devotees. Because that's his responsibility, devotees. So you learn to love devotees first. And that's why we're starting with the things that you need to cut off, the things that bring trouble. Like getting angry, like finding fault, like gossiping. Cut those off. Then what's left? Things that are normal or things that are nice. It's the only things that are left. And then you become respectful, and after a while you learn to do that. It becomes habit. And then through that, then the mind gets purified, then we move on, and then the chanting gets sweeter, and Krishna arranges for us to get Guru. That's how it works. So we start with devotees. That's why many times, and everywhere we go now, I keep telling people, learn to love devotees, learn to love devotees, learn to appreciate devotees. Because that's where we're weakest, because we tend to take devotees for granted. Well, I know him. Guru, yes, Guru, I will give him respect. I'll give him everything he wants. But devotees, just devotees. You know, they whatever. They'll appreciate whatever. No. Try to serve devotees the way you serve Guru. Then you really grow. Try to serve devotees the way you serve Guru. Because one day that devotee will be a Guru. So we should respect. So Prabhupada already said we should say Prabhu and we should say Mataji. What does that tell us? We should already offer respect. So that's the most important thing. The most important thing. Anyway, I don't think we'll have enough time to finish, but let's go on. Let me go to that side that says spiritual edification. Did I jump? I think I have jumped a step.
No, we have to go to the second
The
page.
chanting of the holy name can undoubtedly deliver one from the advantages. This is the paragraph just before.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so let's read the paragraph just before the spiritual edification. Because that's what started to read the whole thing. I don't no right to jump like that. The chanting of the holy name of the Lord can undoubtedly deliver one from the disadvantages of lower caste birth. The Lord's unlimited power is extended on and on by the unlimited expansion of the devotees and incarnations. And thus every devotee of the Lord and his incarnations, the Lord's incarnations also, can also can be equally surcharged with the potency of the Lord. Since the devotee is surcharged with this potency of the Lord, even fractionally, the disqualification due to lower birth cannot stand in the way. Because devotees is everybody, not just Brahmins only. Okay. So, there is something we're doing now, and that is we are hearing scripture together. I'm speaking, but I'm also hearing, because I pray to my spiritual master, and whatever comes, what I hear, we say, but also hear. The importance of association of devotees cannot be overstressed. It is devotees that remind us about Krishna. Where else are you going to hear about Krishna but from devotees? Non-devotees do not speak about Krishna. Non-devotees do not remind us about Krishna. Even the activities of devotees. When you see a devotee with a bead bag chanting, you immediately know why, and you immediately think of Krishna. You know they're calling the holy name of the Lord. You might overhear. Sometimes in the dhams, you see somebody, or you're in your room and somebody is climbing up the stairs and you say, Hare Krishna, Krishna, like that. You know, immediately they just think, but they remind you of Krishna. So devotees do all kinds of things just in their lives. So being around devotees is very important. And one cannot be successful in Krishna consciousness without the association of devotees. It is not possible. We cannot be doing Krishna consciousness by ourselves, because then we are the judge, we are the jury, we're the prosecutor, we're everything, and Maya is on the other side, and she will beat us easily. She will beat us handily, easily. So no matter how determined we are, or no matter how convinced we are about Krishna consciousness, yes, we can chant japa and so on, but everything that we do somehow should be involved, one way or the other, in association of devotees. We get surcharged that way. Of course, we can't stress enough that we need to respect devotees, because you don't want to be around devotees that you don't want to be with, and so that already ruins the whole process. Association with devotees is extremely, extremely important. In fact, it's the second step. It's the first step after faith, in the whole process of a devotee's journey to Krishna Prema. Makes arrangement. So if we have faith in Krishna, then the Paramatma makes arrangement for sadhusanga to happen, for us to be around devotees. Some of you were talked to by somebody who was already involved in Krishna consciousness, and immediately your own faith kicked in. That's why you said yes, and that's why you've been coming here. So it was from faith first. But from faith comes sadhusanga. And so sadhusanga is very, 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 very important. So take that very, very seriously. Okay, we got about another 5 minutes. And now to the Spiritual Edification 18, that section. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, text 4. Brahma Panam, Brahma Havir. Can we say it together? Can we try to say it together? Okay. Ready? Brahma Panam, Brahma Havir. Brahmagno, Brahma Hutam. Brahmeva Tena Gatanyam. Brahma Karma Samadhina. So the translation is, a person who is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness is sure to attain the spiritual kingdom because of his full contribution to spiritual activities, in which the consummation is absolute and that which is offered is of the same spiritual nature. So it's saying a person who is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness, in other words, thinks about Krishna all the time, chants Krishna's name, thinks about different things to do in Krishna consciousness, even if they haven't done it yet, plans to do it, they are sure to attain the spiritual kingdom because of that person's full contribution to spiritual activities. Because of his full contribution, so indirectly they're telling us we should contribute as much as possible to spiritual activities, in which the consummation, the reason for it, is absolute. So everything that you do for Krishna is also Krishna. So what is offered is of the same spiritual nature. Because we do material things, we take material things, but we offer the Guru, and once it's gone to Guru, it is spiritualized. This is why spiritual master is so important. So if you cook the bhoga you offer, if you don't have a spiritual master, it has to go to Srila Prabhupada first. You offer to Srila Prabhupada. If you have deity pictures or deities themselves, you need to have your spiritual master's picture, or if you have a mercy spiritual master, either way, that's fine. If you don't have a spiritual master yet, then Srila Prabhupada's picture should be there, along with your Ishtadev, whatever deity on picture or the mercy that you are attracted to. But Srila Prabhupada should be there, because we take things in the material level, we cook at the material level, but when we offer the Srila Prabhupada, then from him on, everything is spiritualized then. That's why it's important. Okay, so we'll stop here. And we can go to the questions section, because I've seen the questions. They are general questions. So even without finishing those, we still can deal with some of them. And I'm assuming that after the bhoga is offered, then we can go on. Yeah, so for now, we can just go to the question section. So, first, what is the qualification needed to go back to the spiritual world? Let me just say, what is the qualification needed to go back to the spiritual world in this Kali Yuga? Chanting the name of the Lord. That is the Yuga Dharma. That's how you go, by chanting the holy names of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So, describe material consciousness. A person with material consciousness, what do they do? Compared to spiritual, what do they do? A person in material consciousness is influenced by what?
Maya.
Maya. Exactly, that's all it is. Material is ruled by Maya. Material is ruled by Maya. Okay. How do you remove this material veil? How do you remove it? Oh, it says with an example also. Now I can hear. Anyone, how to remove it?
By changing your material activities and make them spiritual, by keeping Krishna in mind always, or devotees in mind.
Okay, you have a particular example? If you do, fine. If not, it's not.
I actually read through it, so I know the example.
Okay.
So one of the examples that is mentioned is like if you have a stomach problem due to milk, then instead of drinking more milk, you will actually take curd, which is another product of the same thing.
But then
it's
it
just
solves
you
the problem.
changed your way.
Okay, wonderful. Anybody else? How the material veil can be removed? And with an example? If you have an example. You can also answer generally. Anyone know? Okay, well, we have one answer to it, so we'll go to the next thing. How do activities in Krishna consciousness become absolute in nature? How do they become absolute in nature? The answer to that is not very far away from the questions. The very last paragraph before the questions begin, that is the answer. Okay, we didn't get, so I have to be fair to everybody, so that's the answer. So where it says that's the method of Krishna consciousness, and then after that it says discovery, okay, what is the qualification? You need to go back to spiritual world. Now the chapter, the paragraph before that, it says, in that condition of spiritual consciousness, the contributor, the contribution, the consumption, the performer or leader of the performance, and the result or ultimate gain, everything becomes one in the absolute, the supreme Brahman. So that is the answer. It means everything we do in Krishna consciousness becomes absolute, because if it concerns Krishna, then it's absolute. When we chant the holy name of the Lord, that's at the absolute platform, because absolute means equals to Krishna. That's what absolute means. Krishna's name is Krishna. So that's absolute. The activities for Krishna equals Krishna. That's absolute. So then it says here, whoever is contributed, whoever the contribution itself, okay, remember, this contributed money. Alright, so the contributor is the person who contributed money. So how is money the contribution itself? Well, now everything belongs to Krishna. And Krishna is absolute. So now we're taking it at the highest level. This is how the first class devotee, the Uttama Adhikari, sees everything. Everything and everyone. So who says money? Money is also Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada, actually, one time he was preaching, he got into that mode because he's first class devotee. And then he's saying, the sky is also Krishna, and the sea is Krishna, and the other waters are all Krishna, and the land is Krishna. I was listening to him, I said, he's at the first class level, like he can't hide it. He can't hide it. Everything is Krishna. So this is the contribution, this is the way that the first class devotee sees this, the Uttama Adhikari. The consumption, who consumes, we give to Krishna. So when Krishna eating is also Krishna. The performer or leader of the performance, if you're chanting and there's someone that's playing and singing first, playing kartals or playing madanga and singing or playing harmonium and singing, that's the leader of the performance. And the rest of us that are continuing, we are the ones that are going along with we are all performers, because then he's the leader or the performer. Everything we do is also absolute. And the result of it, our ultimate gain, is still Krishna. So everything becomes one with the absolute, the supreme Brahman. This is a whole lecture in itself, the absolute nature of Sri Krishna. So that's the answer to that one. How is perfect yagya performed for the absolute in Kali Yuga? How do you perform sacrifice in Kali Yuga? Yuga Dharma, what is it?
Chanting.
Chanting, the same thing. In Satya Yuga, you go through meditation. You meditate for thousands of years, because they live 100,000 years. In Treta Yuga, it's actual sacrifice with all paraphernalia and all of that. And in Dwapara Yuga, it's deity worship. And then in Kali Yuga, it's chanting. We're just beginning Kali Yuga. So there's just a little move from Dwapara Yuga to Kali Yuga. We're only 5,000 years into Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga is 433,000 years. Yes, 5,000 years, 427,000 years to go. Okay. So there's still more. We're fortunate that we're having both deity worship as well as chanting. Okay. So that's there. Says application. How can we improve our Krishna consciousness so that our activities become more and more spiritual in nature? I'm hoping everybody has an answer to that one. How to improve our Krishna consciousness. Yeah,
Serving the devotees,
serving devotees.
association with the devotee, and chanting, and
You gave a 3 already. It's all correct.
if Krishna gives you a guru, then follow the instruction from the gurus.
And in the meantime,
Prabhupada.
Srila Prabhupada and all his Srila Prabhupada means him and all his disciples too, who are gurus. Yeah. How can he improve? So everything that we said, if we're doing it, then improve means we need to do it better. Chant better means chant with greater attention. Serve devotees, be more service-oriented and more respectful towards devotees. In other words, everything that we do now, we should increase the intensity of it. Intensity and the sincerity. That's all. Okay, improve our Krishna consciousness. So, okay, the burger's not going yet. The Lord's still eating. So let's look at preaching is the essence. As soon as the book finishes, we'll be prompted, I'm sure. So, after the questions, preaching is the essence. By His Divine Grace, A.C. BhaktiVriksha Swami, Srila Prabhupada, Krishna Consciousness Movement has been set up to distribute knowledge. Knowledge is meant for distribution. That's the mercy. We should not keep knowledge, we should distribute knowledge. Now, how do we distribute knowledge? We can do like what's happening now, speaking and hearing. That's one way. But our own activities also is preaching. Remember, there are so many religions in the world now. And not everybody is going to take the Krishna consciousness. But when we relate to people as a perfect gentleman or a perfect lady, that speaks a lot about what we're involved with. That speaks a lot about what we're involved with. First, they're going to say you're a good person. That's true. They're going to say you're a good person. But a good person, and they have a particular religion, if they find out later on what the religion is, they will never say the religion is bad, because a good person cannot be involved in a bad religion. It's not possible. Therefore, they will automatically say whatever he's involved with must be good, because he is good. And so then now they will be open to Krishna consciousness. They may not take it right away, but they will not speak negatively of Krishna consciousness because of your attitude being a good one. So being a being a good person in terms of, comes the same thing, not getting angry, not only with devotees, but even non-devotees. Finding fault. And we can spend more time talking about that, and especially when it comes to finding fault. Because finding fault goes two ways. Sometimes it's we ourselves that are finding fault, or somebody is coming to complain about faults of somebody else to us. Okay, that part we haven't talked about. When somebody else is the one doing it, then what do? Well, we've been taught some of it, and I've also seen at least 2 sannyasis do this. When you say something bad about a devotee, or somebody is saying something bad about a devotee to you, don't interrupt them necessarily. But it can go to one ear and out the other. Don't really be listening seriously to it, because it's all bad stuff. Now, one of the things you can do is after you've heard out the person, if you really heard some of the things he said, you can begin to look at some things positive about what you heard for that particular devotee. Or as my spiritual master sometimes does too, he just hits you back. And he hits you back with all the good qualities of the person you're speaking bad about. But he does this, but he does the other one, he does this. And you go, yeah, he does. You keep quiet, right? It just shuts you out. By talking about all the good things that the person does. Because we are all of higher nature and lower nature. We have both. We have both. And if you complain or somebody complains to you, they're just focusing on the lower nature of the person. You tell them he has a higher nature. This is true. It's also true. It's also true. So we need to, that's one of the ways, but there's more, but I think we'll just hold that for another time because now this is over. Any questions from you? So that hasn't happened yet. Any questions or comments from you? And then we'll wrap it up. Yes?
Just, kind of get more clarification, but
Hare
The
Krishna.
Maya is something that's always around us. And if I understand correctly, the Maya is also a part of the Krishna.
Mm-hmm.
And so, how can you be wrong if you're enjoying a part of Krishna and live your life, without, if it's a part of Krishna, then you are attached, or you are involved in the Krishna and enjoying the Maya, or totally attached with the Maya, and then why it gets different between the
Maya
spiritual
and Krishna
the material world, because the material world is also a part and created by Krishna.
Yeah. Very good question. And I have to beg permission on how the answer would come out, because it might be a little condescending, and I don't mean it that way. The world has nice places like this house and everywhere else, right? The house that you live in. But there's also a prison. There's also a prison. So if you're in prison, the prison also belongs to the state. The land and house also belong to the state. Do you like to be in prison? No, that's your answer. Maya is for tests. It's from Krishna, but he is the testing agent of Krishna. So we're put here, and Maya takes us through things saying that, oh, this is nice, this is nice, this is nice. Maya never pushes us, it just suggests. We know what's right. But then Maya says, but this other thing is also there. Maya is always pushing the material thing. But the material thing we know never takes us back to Godhead. And we have senses that can enjoy the material things. So Maya uses it, oh, if you do this, if you do this, if you do this, you're going to enjoy yourself. That's what we're saying, so why not do it? Well, you know Maya is testing, so we need to renounce material things. But I'll say one more thing about it, because I remember this from a lecture by His Holiness Guru Govinda Maharaj. He was literally laughing at his devotees. And he was laughing at them because he says, you are trying to enjoy your senses. Sense gratification. Remember, Sri Prabhupada never says enjoy senses, he just says sense, gratifying your senses. He never says enjoy, he says gratify senses. But in our mind, it's enjoying the senses. Then he started laughing, he says, you don't know what real enjoyment is. You don't know, he kept saying it. You don't know what real enjoyment is. You don't know, because you are stuck with trying to gratify your senses and you call that enjoyment. Spiritual enjoyment is at a whole different level. And the pure devotees that are in contact with it, they have nothing to do with this because they know the difference. They know the difference. So no, Maya makes us think that we're enjoying if we have the things around us that's wonderful, and the pure devotees in the meantime are feeling very sorry for us because we think we're enjoying ourselves when we really aren't. And it is the same process of chanting it sincerely and seriously that will begin to open the real enjoyment which comes from the soul. It comes from the soul. It's from the heart area. It's from the soul. Nothing beats it. The highest combination of whatever it is, even sexual activity, does not come close to the kind of enjoyment that the soul gives. And you just have to endeavor. It's the same process until you begin to have some inkling of what it's like. And Radha Maharaj says, if you have a little taste of it, you will never have anything to do with this material thing. You open your eyes and realize, I've been deceived all along. Yes, that's what Maya does. We've been deceived all along. So if you take it seriously, you begin to be happy inside. The happiness is internal. And everything external, you realize, yeah, I think I enjoy myself, but everything here presents me with all kinds of bills and no work and this one, we're fixing this and that and that and that. But the purity, the happiness that comes from the soul is pure, and there's nothing to repair about it. It's wonderful. So that's what really is. And so we are all striving to get to that point. And the pure devotees are pushing us on and giving us the mercy to try to get there. Because Krishna will, in fact, as we please him, by pleasing Guru. Guru says, please the devotees. As we please the devotees, pleasing Guru and pleasing Krishna, Krishna will actually open himself. This is what it says in the Bhagavad Gita, the means to understand him. He's all Ananda. He's all bliss. The means to understand him means being really happy. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Any other comments, questions? Oh, okay, there's more. All right, one more question. Thank you for bringing it up. Thanks.
Going back to the prison analogy that you made,
Thanks. Mhm.
I mean, given that God has created, let's say, this prison, which
Yeah.
is very old, and has sent us to this world, I think it's better to just enjoy what's there without getting attached to necessarily what you're enjoying. So, if you, for example, if there are nicer things in this world, might as well enjoy, but at the same time keep in mind that you should not get attached to it, because if that's taken away from you, I mean, of course there's nothing permanent.
Yeah.
You should not feel bad or miserable when though that Maya is, because Maya means it's never permanent, right?
Yeah.
So you can enjoy as long as you can assure yourself that once it's taken away, you're not feeling miserable or you're not feeling bad about it.
Okay, that's very hard to do. The enjoyment is taken away with not feeling too lost. But the enjoyment in it, there's enjoyment. The only sensible enjoyment with material things is when you use it to serve Krishna. You should enjoy using it to serve Krishna. You should enjoy the service to Krishna. Because whether we like it or not, we're not in the spiritual world. This is what we have here. And so if we want to enjoy it for ourselves, then we're going to get more entangled. That's Maya. But when we use it to serve Krishna, then that's fine. When the devotees are jumping up and down, using their voices, singing, using their limbs, jump up and down, and chanting the holy name of the Lord, are they really suffering? No, they're enjoying. They're enjoying. This is just one example, singing. And Prabhu plays, Puneet Prabhu plays Budanga very nicely. I was hearing him this morning. And the children are singing, and we all join in. It's wonderful. We should do wonderful things because our own soul, the nature of our soul, is to have fun. But the fun should be connected to Krishna. And the service that we do should be connected to Krishna. Everything that we do in this material world, how to use it to serve Krishna should be the first and foremost. It should be our meditation the whole time. How to use it to serve Krishna. How to use it to serve Krishna. How to use it, so on, so on, and so on, and so on, and so on. Then that's all right. In that sense. But as soon as we say, I'm doing it just for me, you'll be entangled. And that's the problem. So that's what we need to be aware of. So, yeah. So what's here? We have senses, yes, but usually serve Krishna the whole time. Any other comments? Rantara Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki, Srimad Bhagavatam ki,
Jai.
Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki, Jai.
Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Jaya Shri Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura BhaktiVriksha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Jaya Shri Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh! Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Govinda 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 Krishna Govinda 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 Krishna Govinda Govinda Krishna Govinda Govinda Krishna Govinda Govinda Krishna Govinda Govinda Gopal Nandala, Gopal Nandala, Gopal Nandala, Gopal Nandala, Gopal Nandala, Krishna Govinda Govinda Gopal Nandala, Krishna Govinda Govinda Gopal Nandala.
Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Hare
Shri BhaktiVriksha Swami Shri Prabhupada ki Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pad Paramhamsa Privajaka Charya Astottara Sata Shri Maharaj Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada ki, Ananta Gaudiya Vaishnava Vrinda ki, Namacharya Brahmacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki, ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki, Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Dvaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki, Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopagopana Shyam Kun Radha Kun Giri Govardhan ki, Vrindavan Dham ki, Mathura Dham ki, Navadvip Dham ki, Jagannathpuri Dham ki, Ganga Mai ki, Jamuna Mai ki, Tulsi Devi ki, Bhakti Devi ki, Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the lotus feet of Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Jalagadadayine. Hiranyakashitu vakshaha. Hiranyakashipu Tanubringam Kesavadisha Naraharirupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Jaya
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. As all of us know, Prabhuji comes from at least, I think, 2 hours from here to give this association. So thank you, Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhuji, for your continuous association. Haribol. Few things. One announcement for today. We are celebrating Dvik's birthday, right? So we all wish you very happy Krishna consciousness birthday, and we'll cut I think we'll cut a cake for him, right?
This is his 16th birthday? Really?
Yeah, couple of more things. Next Sunday we will be doing Mahabhishekam for Kishore Kishori ji, is Gaur Nitai, and we have Radha Kunj Bihari ji from Harrisburg. So we will be doing a Mahabhishekam program for all the deities. It's their anniversary also. So it will be a big gathering, and we will start the program instead of 10 o'clock in the morning, we will do at 3 p.m. So we hope to see you all in that program and participate. We will need a lot of help. So we expect every one of you to be there and participate in the program. We will need a lot of help from everybody. And one more news is in the program, and also next weekend we will have His Grace Kriptadasji Maharaj in the ready. We all know him. He has been here for 3-4 times already. So he will be here for starting Friday until Monday. So it's a good opportunity for all of us to associate with him, get more guidance from him. He's always there to preach. He has a very busy schedule. He'll be going to Harrisburg, Baltimore, and a couple of more places, but he is always eager to meet all of us. So try to take advantage of that opportunity as much as we can.
So, he's in Harrisburg on Friday?
He will go to Harrisburg on Friday program, and then Saturday evening I will be taking him to Baltimore Snan Yatra program. And then Sunday evening he will be doing the Abhishekam. And Monday evening he will leave. And then he has his other extensive preaching program.
I'm sure.
All over US. And from next not next week we will not have a regular class, but in the future we will keep the handouts on the table. So as you come, you can pick the handouts if we are doing the class based on the handout. So all the handouts will be there instead of I distributing it from here and distributing the whole class. The handout will be there. That's it. Thank you for joining us. Hare Krishna. And yeah, one more request from Surat. We have to leave early for some, so please cooperate to help us winding up quickly. Thank you. Okay, which we go? Which we pass the place, they will cut the cake for you.
Which has to do Hare Krishna for the... Oh yeah, sorry.
Hare Krishna to you.